Hi, I am Sam. No, not that Sam. And honestly, green eggs and ham never really did it for me. I'm more of a cereal man. I can communicate in 9 languages, kind of. Hola, soy Samuel. But speaking anything fluently other than English is a bit of a task.
Habla inglés.
I'm from Tasmania. Yes, that is part of Australia. And my degree in mechanical engineering has never been used for anything other than getting my mum off my back. Yes, Mum, my room's clean. Can I go outside and play in Russia now? I guess I'm an ordinary Tasmanian-grown human being. I work 9 to 6, 5 days a week. I have a university degree. I get motion sick. And just like you, I have feet. Size 16 though. And I have a name for each. I call them left and right. Left and right have carried me 15,500 kilometres around the world. No, you didn't misunderstand. I travelled 15,500 kilometres on foot from 2006 to 2008. It hurt. A lot. I guess I'm part Forrest Gump, part Francis of Assisi, with a bit of Bear Grylls thrown in. Only my specialty is in finding lonely dim sims in remote villages. While walking the world, I was held at gunpoint, knife point, repeatedly beaten up and almost eaten by a puma. I was hospitalised with salmonella poisoning, typhoid fever, food poisoning, heart arrhythmia, a dislodged hip, and I had an ouchie on my big toe. No, seriously, the thing almost fell off. It wasn't about survival though. It was about a mission. For unity. I stopped walking over 4 years ago. But the journey never really finished. And neither did people's jokes about me not needing a lift home because I could just walk. Yeah, funny. Seriously, give me a lift. I met a lot of people on that journey from Brazil to Spain. Some had smiles, some had shotguns, and confusingly, some had both. I now speak about the lessons from that little walk in around 90 high schools and organisations every year. I experienced both kindness and disdain while travelling, but one man in particular, in Panama, made an impact that cut deep. His name was Adolfo. His family was starving, and yet he fed and housed me in his tin shed home. I don't know much more about him than that. I know his first name, and I have one grainy photograph. What I do know is that I've wanted to find him ever since, to return the favour and help him. Over the years I've tried to track him down, but always came up empty-handed. The time came to put my life on hold, jump on a plane and go back to Central America to thank those who'd helped me and to search for Adolfo. The likelihood of finding him was about the same as finding a needle in a jungle. Pretty slim. But sometimes you have to put out into the deep and take the first step. Or plane in this case. Remember that little list of bad things that happened to me? Well, most of that happened in a country to the southeast of Panama called Venezuela. It's apparently even worse now, averaging 54 murders a day. And that's where we'll start. Venezuela and then Panama. 2 countries over 2 weeks in 1 car. I nearly lost my life a few times back in 2007, and that's why this time I'm travelling with 2 friends, Daniel and Wojtek, a cameraman and a doctor. Oh, it doesn't matter that they're a cameraman and a doctor. What matters is that if we get into trouble this time, I can outrun both of them. Bag packed, shoes laced, flimsy plan laid out. Buckle up, we're going back to the Americas. Along the road to Adolfo, we'd met many people whose circumstances were either very different to what I remembered, or they'd simply changed over the course of time. Some had died, some had moved on, and some weren't exactly who I thought they were, while others were exactly as I remembered. Now, as we searched for Adolfo himself, it seemed to be a case of possibly any of the above. We'd hit a brick wall. Adolfo's very existence fell short of any substantial evidence. No one knew Adolfo. His home had been demolished, and the locals in this remote Panamanian village were clear in spelling out that the man who used to live in that home was named Alessi, and he didn't fit my description. It was all getting very confusing. Alessi's mum recalled that a young mum and daughter had lived in the shed near to her son Alessi. That young mother's name was Jessica. I had no recollection of Adolfo's wife's name, but Jessica did ring a bell. In any case, whoever she was, she now lived in Panama City. Somewhere. Our search had left us pretty much empty-handed. Junior, the non-English speaking villager who'd offered to help us, talked non-stop, and we couldn't always understand what he'd said.
Did you understand all of that? No.
And for that matter, he didn't always understand us.
Allá hay un Rodolfo. Allá se llama Rodolfo.
Rodolfo.
Ajá.
No Adolfo.
No.
Okay.
El nombre es Adolfo.
Adolfo.
Ah.
But as we prepared to depart, he dropped something in conversation that caught our attention. This Jessica, our only possible link to Adolfo, had a sister. And that sister still lived in the village.
Vamos allá donde la hermana, que tiene otra hermana, para preguntar. Vamos allá, donde la hermana de Jessica. ¿Cómo se llama el esposo de Jessica? ¿No le dicen Adolfo?
Ajá.
Adolfo.
Hey, it is Adolfo.
Hold the phone. Found him. We weren't about to leave just yet. We had our lead. So it turns out that I was right after all. He did exist. Maybe.
Is it hermano?
Sí.
Okay, so this is Jessica's sister. Jessica is Adolfo's wife. So we're now even that one step closer to finding.
After explaining to Ichdel how I'd met Adolfo and why I was now searching for him, she was happy to make a few phone calls on our behalf. Only she didn't have phone credit, nor the means to purchase it. So we raced off to the local store and came back with the goods, plus a little bit more. And after a few calls, the phone was handed my way with Adolfo on the other end.
Adolfo. Hola. Hablo poquito español. ¿Habla inglés? No? No. Yo dormí en tu casa en 2007. Yo caminar el mundo a pie en para en El Higo en 2007. How do you say, do you remember? Recordie?
It really would have helped had we been able to speak each other's languages. My limited Spanish was insufficient. But Junior soon lost patience and came to my aid.
Junior.
Adolfo, te habla Junior Black.
So where we're up to, we have now Adolfo's phone number, and what we're going to do is head back down to Panama City, 200 kilometres away. We'll check into a hotel, and Adolfo has asked, because we have a bit of a language barrier problem, but Adolfo has asked that we send him a text message with the address and phone number of the hotel, and then he'll come and see us, he'll come and find us. So it's going to turn on its head. We've found him, but not in person. We'll go back to a hotel and then he'll come and find us. Been phenomenal. Very different experience of this village compared to my last time here, when some of the young men in the town, which is really the only people I met, just scoffed at me and wanted nothing to do with me, wouldn't talk to me, wouldn't help me at all, and Adolfo was the only one who would. Very different experience this time, because we met a couple of people who were very willing to extend a hand of hospitality. Really looking forward now to actually seeing him in person again. And very happy, I've got to say, very, very happy to hear that he's with his wife and their daughter, and they've got a second daughter now, and they're together. Honestly, it didn't faze me that much seeing his little hut demolished. He's only lived there for 6 months. It wasn't really the happiest place for him anyway. I'm just really happy though that he's with his wife, with their kids, they're together. So, that's great news. now we get to go and set up, and hopefully within the next 24 hours, we'll meet him face to face. Gracias.
We said goodbye to Ichdel and Junior,
Right.
thankful for such beautiful assistance. And with an Adolfo reunion likely within the next 12 hours, our 200-kilometre road trip back to Panama City was as light-hearted as we'd had for the entire journey. We felt good. So good. Hey, yeah! Hi! We felt good until we got lost in a shady part of Panama City and were pulled over by the cops for having our GoPro camera stuck to the roof of the car in such a dangerous area. We were more than happy to remove it. We'd forgotten it was even up there. Mind you, we were mildly chuffed to have captured the police on film. Gotcha. After a terrible night's sleep in a shoddy hotel, we were all sent scrambling the next morning by a wake-up call informing us that Adolfo was downstairs waiting for us. Comatose to fully awake in 5 minutes flat. Wojtek was sent downstairs to stall Adolfo, while Dan and I tried to get ready. 5 years after our brief encounter, before he left his wife and daughter to find work so that they could eat, we were finally reunited. It was great to see him alive and seemingly doing well, and I was happy to hand over to him his daughter's toy Dino, which he had given me to keep me company from Panama to Spain as a reminder to pray for them.
Buscar para tu oficio. Tengo solo una foto aquí, solo. La foto is malo, is pequeña.
Over breakfast, we told Adolfo where we'd travelled in the past 2 weeks and the difficulty we'd had in specifically finding him with one small pixelated photo. He was taken aback that we'd come all this way to search for him. We agreed that it was somewhat of a miracle that we'd been able to reconnect. Adolfo had had such a massive impact on my life, but I could well have been nothing more than a random stranger passing through his village half a decade ago. As it was though, he remembered our encounter vividly, even that it was his daughter who actually convinced him to invite me to sleep the night in their tin shed home. He didn't just remember me, he'd been telling his own stories of our original encounter and the impact it had had on his life.
Yo he hablado bastante de Sam a personas que me han dicho Sam era un ángel.
You were like an angel.
A bearded, smelly angel.
Porque yo le conté que Sam me dijo, yo le dije a Sam que venía para Panama City a trabajar, a buscar trabajo. Sam me dijo, quiero rezar por ti, tú consigues trabajo. Y al siguiente día encontré trabajo.
Segunda día.
On the second day. Yeah.
I asked Adolfo one specific question. Is there anything you need? Can we help with anything? University studies, transport, clothing? He paused momentarily and asked so humbly, a home.
House?
Wojtek and I were a little apprehensive. We wanted to help him, but we couldn't afford to build him a new home. I asked Adolfo, how much does it cost to build a home? He replied, around $1,000. It was a lot less than what we expected. We were pretty sure we could organise that.
Nueva casa es no problema. Pero primero yo necesito darle gracias para tu hospitalidad. Yo feliz para tu ahora trabajo, familia aquí, nueva niña, and para tu más más comida. So, it's bien. Gracias. So.
After breakfast, the whole family arrived, and we spent 2 days exploring Panama City and its surroundings. They were excited to show us the sights, and share of their new life in the big city. We visited the famous Panama Canal and met its inhabitants, both the little guys and the enormous ones. We generally, though, just had a blast. It was hugely satisfying to hang out with them, while now enjoying Adolfo's lighter side. I even found myself a new hairstylist, who I then used to test out the boot space in our hire car. We met the family he's worked for as a handyman every Saturday for the last 5 years, and joked around about life in Panama. Adolfo was keen to put his required hours of work in, even though we were there and the family he works for told him not to worry about it. We then introduced him to one of Australia's favourite pastimes. We didn't bother about rugby. And I showed them all the places I'd walked to, from their village to Spain, after our first encounter in 2007. Finding Adolfo with his family answered one burning question that had plagued me for the last 5 years. But I had other questions. I began by asking Adolfo to reflect on his time living in El Higo.
La vida en El Higo para mí es lugar, para mí era muy tranquilo, es muy tranquilo, pero muy dura, muy dura. Allá yo vivía con mi familia. My father, Panama City. A veces no comíamos, a veces sí. Me iba a trabajo en Ligo, 6 horas por un balboa, 50 centavos.
Okay.
Con eso comíamos en el día. A veces no había trabajo. A veces comíamos lo que yo le ofrecí, pan con lentejas y té y pan. Muy duro porque allá no tenía nada de comer. Cuando me fui, yo me conseguí mis pasajes para venir a Panamá y no le dije nada a ella. Yo me vine y yo hablé con mi mamá, le dije que yo estaba consiguiendo trabajo y al día siguiente conseguí un trabajo y yo la llamé y le dije que ya había conseguido trabajo. Me faltaba conseguir dónde quedarme acá en Panamá y tuve que ahorrar 4 meses para mandarla a buscar y alquilar un departamento, un cuartito.
I asked Adolfo, what is it that brings you happiness?
Que me da felicidad ver mis hijas reír, verlas jugar y que no falta nada en mi casa. Eso me da felicidad y estar con vida y salud.
The question that I'd often pondered, though, was why this man, the poorest in the village, would offer me hospitality, while his neighbours scoffed at me.
No sé. Pareció bien. No lo vi, ¿cómo lo explico? No lo vi como otras personas. O sea, me dio coraje de dejarlo ahí solito. Habíamos comprado, creo que el pan en la tienda y usted llegó hablando ahí, ¿no? Y los muchachos que estaban ahí se reían de usted y me decían, hey, está crazy. Entonces yo le dije que no, hombre, él está buscando posada para dormir, que está cansado. Entonces la gente me decía que está loco. Yo dije, no hagan eso. Yo le dije a un chico que no, llévatelo para la casa y dale una maquita ahí para que duerman en un jorón, house. Y dije, llévalo tú. Pero pero es que mi casa está pequeña y no tengo una hamaca para que se acueste. Yo seguí caminando y me paré y volteé a verlo, pues. Y le pregunté a mi hija, ¿qué mami? Nos lo llevamos. Y me dice la niña que, dale pues, Entonces yo me regresé y lo llamé, come on, house, dormí, le dije. Y para mí fue algo, en verdad, nunca lo había hecho y me siento bien por eso. Al día siguiente la gente me decía que yo estaba loco, yo crazy.
Sí.
Y yo le
Mi
pregunté,
familia, sí. They agree.
yo le dije, ¿por qué si él es una persona y yo dije que alguna vez de repente, nunca sabe en la vida, de repente si mis hijas van a pasar por algo así y bueno, mis pensamientos que siempre son así, ¿no? Que si mi hija alguna vez va a estar sola en la vida y le pide ayuda a alguien, de repente no quisiera que le dieran la espalda. Por eso también lo hice. Y cuando yo vine acá a Panamá, que el día siguiente conseguí el trabajo, que usted me ha dicho que iba a rezar por mí, yo pensé que era un ángel también. Y me decía mucha gente que yo le he contado eso a muchas personas. Y aún ahí a mi trabajo, donde mañana tengo que trabajar, son de la iglesia. Entonces le conté que yo le había dado posado a un señor así y me dijo que iba a rezar por mí. Y al día siguiente conseguí el trabajo. Entonces el señor me dijo que eso es un ángel, porque si nadie de repente recoge a alguien así en la calle por miedo. Pero yo no lo vi de ese modo, pues yo, bueno, como lo vi cansado también. Y al día siguiente conseguí el trabajo, yo dije, de verdad, sería un ángel. Y le contaba a la gente que no, y él era blanquito, alto. Me dije que no, que Dios interviene a veces por ¿cómo se llama? Por otra persona, pues. Por él estamos aquí, estoy yo, están mis hijas y para mí es lo más grande. Para mí Dios es mi vida. Yo las noches le rezo y le pido que me dé otro día más de vida para ver a mis hijas reír y crecer, ¿no?
Sí.
Y bueno, y que me dé trabajo para poder seguir adelante.
When I'd met Adolfo 5 years ago, there was something lost in translation. Apparently he had told me, but I just didn't pick it up because I didn't know the Spanish word for pregnant. That's why he was leaving. That's why he was so upset. His wife was pregnant, and if she didn't eat soon, there was the risk of losing their unborn child. Adolfo was leaving to find work so that his family could eat, and his little Lisa could live. It was such a privilege to see the family together, and even more difficult to say goodbye this second time around. The sacrifices they had to make every day were still so hard to accept. For our own safety, they refused to let us drive them into their shanty home suburb, and so after saying goodbye, we watched on as they struggled to find someone to take them home, because of where they lived.
Right now I'm just angry more than anything. Feels like I've just relived El Higo all over again. It was great seeing Adolfo and Jessica. It was phenomenal how easily the two little girls took to us, to the three of us, and just wanted to hang out and play with us and be in our company. It really hurt though, standing down on the street. Watching them go. They didn't want us to take them back to their house. They said it was far too dangerous for us, that for our own safety, they didn't want us going into that area. And that seemed to be justified when they stood there on the street corner and couldn't get a taxi. Taxis kept pulling over, but as soon as they found out where they lived, they'd just drive off. And really hard seeing, at one point, Melissa turned and gave her mum a hug, and you could see that her mum was, it's just, it's deflating. It's a bit of a kick in the guts for them. You know, it's there. I mean, I'm looking at it from a privileged point of view. for the life that I'm able to live in Australia, but you know, I know for them that's their everyday. That's life. But it doesn't make it any easier to watch it, to see it unfold. The other hard thing that happened down there was that although I think that they're happy to receive some financial help for their situation, at the same time, you've got to be careful not to undermine how much Adolfo has sacrificed and worked for his family, and to really affirm the dignity that he has and how far he has gone in stepping out for his family, for his wife and children. So, to go back to Australia, got a few friends who are willing to help out financially. I've got a speaking engagement the first night I'm back in Australia, where with some business people, and can ask for some assistance for them. But that doesn't change they're going to stay in the same area. They said if they rebuild, if they can build a bigger home, they'll stay in the same area they're in. So they'll still be in the same situation. They might have a nicer home, but they still won't be able to catch a taxi. They still won't be able to do, I guess, a lot of the stuff they take for granted. So it really does feel like I'm walking on from El Higo in the same way I did in 2007. Head back to Australia.
And a friendship that had stayed strong over 5 years of having no idea where the other was had been renewed. Wojtek, Daniel and I turned towards home with incredible thanks and humility for what we had. We'd been left a little bit shell-shocked by travelling the road to Adolfo, but it had been an absolute privilege.